Hi, guys. This is Carrie with Fullerton Professional Organizing. And on this podcast, we declutter our faith, we declutter our home, and we declutter our business. And I also started thinking sometimes we even declutter our health. And in this case today, I have one that I think it kind of goes into the mental health and our faith. And I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself and tell the audience, what she does and why. And I am excited. I think it's very interesting. And it's a walk that I have walked through. So we really can relate in this area.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Carrie. I'm Dr. Jerry Woodbridge, and I have experienced loss on many different levels. Um, okay, can you? Oh,
Yeah, just a little louder. That's all.
okay, okay.
Just a
All
little
right, thank
louder. Sorry, I was trying to be
you.
discreet.
No worries, no worries. Experienced loss on many different levels, from pregnancy loss to, having a baby that was born halfway through the pregnancy. And Um, the Lord taught me lessons early in my marriage about who He is during those times of grief. So, about 2004, I lost my husband to the silent killer colon cancer. We actually had a diagnosis of colon cancer the day before he died.
Mm,
So, um,
my.
so I became an instant widow, instant single mom, had two children that were 12 and 16 that had lost their dad. So we were all grieving,
Mm,
and we found that we grieved differently and there were different needs. Um, so I learned a lot of hindsight lessons through that process. And I was also a teacher. So I would also be in the classroom. Maybe I would have a fifth grade student that had lost his dad a few years ago and he was still grieving. So I, became that teacher to try to help support my students during the process. And actually, I came to writing a book about children and grief because
mm.
I actually wanted to do a TEDx speech on how ballroom dancing helped me move through grief, and they did not understand my message.
Oh,
So when I told them I had been a teacher and that I supported students, then they're like, "Oh, you should write a children's book."
yes.
So I was a little bit like, "Okay, I'm not sure uh, how to do this," but so it was a steep learning curve to learn how to write, from going from journaling, newspaper, to poetry, to learning how to write fiction and point of view.
Mm,
But when I did my market research, which is what they always tell you to do when you're trying to get a publishing company interested in your book, is
yes.
you find out what is that already out there.
Oh,
So I looked at picture books, and I knew that was not my target audience. There were a lot of picture books, from how to lose a pet to a grandparent to, other loved ones. And I felt like there was a sufficient market out there for those books.
hmm.
But my favorite grades to teach were always fourth and fifth graders.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. Yeah, mine were 4-year olds. I used to
yeah,
be a teacher as well. And matter of fact, when I lost my first baby, I was actually taken away in the ambulance at the school. So I think the whole school went through the grieving with me. Of course, totally different, but all the children saw, and
right.
they explained to all the children what happened and all of that. So, it was a very, But you know what I think, though? I think the fact that the teachers told the children and the children asked me questions, I think for me that was comforting, even though I think some were like, oh, don't ask her anything. Don't,
Right.
it made me feel like, the kids cared, it was something, it helped me. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. And I think, I think a lot of times we try to protect our children, which is not a bad thing, but
Mm-hmm.
but can we really protect them from sorrow and suffering?
Right.
So it's better if we're honest with them and that we have these conversations and we answer their questions and um, because then they can learn how to process and how to deal with these things when they
Mm-hmm.
encounter them themselves because they've seen someone. So when I write this book, Joy Overcame Sorrow, it's written from the point of view, first person point of view of Joy.
Mm-hmm.
And she writes about her grieving process and the things that she goes through her first year after she loses her dad suddenly to a car accident.
So your
So
book is more towards the middle school, well, a little bit older, not like you said, it's not a picture book, it's not for the littles. It's for a little bit older
a
or
little bit older. They're still
yeah.
concrete thinkers. But they're still having those questions, like you said.
Yes.
They're asking questions about heaven. They're asking questions about, um, where did your baby go? You
Mm-hmm.
know, they're curious. They want to know. And the best thing we can do is be honest,
Mm-hmm.
uh, with them with their questions.
Yes.
Um, So we take this story. Her cousin April gives her a journal
Mm-hmm.
and gives her a journal to record memories when she goes to her father's funeral. All the good stories that people are going to tell about about her dad. She's going to write them down. Well, Joy learns that, okay, well, I have questions too, so I can do this. I can use my journal to ask those questions or write them down
Mm-hmm.
and think about it. So I would say journaling is one of those, it's one method,
Mm-hmm.
that children can use. But it was very impactful for me as a widow because I felt like I had 1,000 hornets around my
Mm-hmm.
brain
Mm-hmm.
with all these thoughts. And it's like if I could grab one of those thoughts and put it down on paper and look at it and reflect on it and look at God's word, uh, you know, with that one thought, then I could process it.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't process 1,000 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
So this is where another aspect is I wrote Joy's journal that
Mm.
has prompts from the book so that they can begin the conversation with their family members or counseling group or teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can personalize it because it's like, what were the emotions that Joy
Mm.
experienced after she found out she'd lost her dad,
Yeah.
or that her dad had died? And then how did you feel?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like kind of scaffolding them, guiding them towards being able to process their own grief.
Mhm. So you've wrote that book, but if I remember correctly, have you written books for adults as well?
I did. I wrote this book. It's called Training My Sorrows for the Joy of the Lord. And this is what I consider a widow's devotional
Oh,
because I had a lot of questions. I
yes.
mean, I chose my identity to change when I married my husband. So I made that choice and I thought it would be forever and ever. Of course we do.
Right.
And it wasn't necessarily, but I had a lot of questions for God saying, okay, I'm Mrs. Who?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I? Who am I in your eyes? How do you see the widow? How do you see the fatherless? How do you see the child?
Oh, that's
What
excellent.
who has lost a child. So has to do with my teaching background with
Mm-hmm.
always asking questions and then going back to the source. What is the source?
Yes.
You know, he says he will provide, he will
Mm-hmm.
protect, he will keep the widow's boundaries intact.
Mm,
So I think we can do a better job in our community and in our churches as far as remembering
mm-hmm.
that this is really part of the church's responsibility to help
Mm-hmm.
and to support the widow. I really could have used, um, a strong male role model for my son when he was 12 because he suddenly
Mm,
lost the person he could count on the most.
mm-hmm.
And, you know, fortunately, we were able to have his best friend had a dad that stepped up and kind of filled in and
Oh, that's good.
help my son. But I think these are conversations we need more of.
Yeah.
And I get it that, in the church, we're kind of guided to provide a hedge around our family to protect it. And I totally understand that. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think we keep people from coming in as well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
sometimes we need people to step up. I never wanted another woman to be fearful of me.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted some help with my children, to
Yeah.
make sure that they were okay.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't know if you went through this, and I think I mentioned this to you, but I think the most condemning thing I think a Christian can do is also tell someone that, you know, telling them that it was their faith, you know, that, you know, that they didn't have enough faith, but it's okay, when someone passes away. Also, I think we need to talk about that as well. You know, yes, I understand that not everyone understands what to say, but if you don't understand what to say, at least tell them, I'm here for you, you
right,
know, and check in on them at least. You
right.
don't have to always make them stop crying. You don't always have to make them feel better. Just checking in on them and letting them know you're here for them sometimes is all they need.
Exactly. That's the difference between sympathy and empathy.
Mm.
Sympathy, I know in the book I wrote about chapter 3 is condolences and casseroles and condolences
Ah,
was the title, which is well-meaning. That's how our society kind of operates. We try to fit, we try to meet the physical need
mm-hmm,
first.
mm-hmm.
And I would say, books are probably a better gift for people who are grieving than even the
Yes.
condolence cards because you get 100 of those. And then
Or in trying to say, comfort them. Or sometimes I've even had people one up, they're like, oh, well, if you think you're grieving, let me tell you what happened to me, you know, type of thing. But when you're reading a book, you're processing, right?
right,
You're processing your feelings, and it's between you and God. And I think it's great. I think that's so great.
yeah. I know another widow, I think it's Michelle Ebersol. Anyway, she and I were talking. We're like, we could come up with a basket, of different books and resources. It's not that they're going to start reading them when they come home from the funeral.
Right.
They need that time to process.
Mm-hmm.
But by giving a book, you're putting something that can be used in their personal library at a time when they're ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, I know she's written a book called Widow Goals. I've written the devotional where basically I shared stories with other widow and widowers, and
Mm-hmm.
they shared their stories with me. So we traded our sorrows.
Mm. Yeah.
And and in that process of that community support, we felt better because we
Mm.
felt supported, we felt heard.
Yes, that's it. Feeling heard. Yes, I love that. Now, do you are I noticed that you mentioned, a widow's take, but I know a gentleman who lost his son that's struggling. Do you have books that you would recommend for the father who who's lost his son? Or is it or your books are more from your take?
Well, right now I'd say that is from other widow and widowers. So I think it's universal as far as truth,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, as far
Definitely.
as the experience. Um, I just know that when we write from
Mm-hmm.
our own perspective, then we can guide the reader along and then they can have their own takeaways. For example, the father who's lost the son.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I mean, think about our Heavenly Father. Our Heavenly Father lost his son
Mm-hmm.
for a brief time. So, so there's definitely room for um, room for more writing
Mm-hmm.
that can take place. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
finding with doing the podcast. Every podcast is different.
Yes.
And some is more geared towards grandparents raising grandchildren. Some are like, this is like a children's alliance, so we're focusing on that. So it's all these different aspects, but I find the universal truth is, you know, if we allow God to redeem
Yes.
our heartbreak, our sorrows, then He will do something with that. And part of our healing is also helping others.
Yes. Yeah, we are seed planters, and ultimately, Christ is the one that does the work. It's just like giving them the book and waiting for them to be ready to read, but not being the person over there going, "Did you read it? Did you read it? Did you read it?"
Exactly.
Because that process is left up to the Lord, and when the person is ready.
Exactly.
Those are just my random thoughts while you're talking.
No worries. I know my friend Kim, she gave a book to a young man who had just lost his grandmother. And so he's sitting in church and he's reading during the sermon because he's an avid reader. And so he goes up to her afterwards and he says, "So, how do you know Joy?" Which tells me that the character was relatable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's what we need. We need authentic, relatable characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, I talked to another lady from Maui, and she's like, I've read your book. I love it. It's written exactly from a 10-year-old point of view. I don't know how you did it. And I'm like, that was God. Because I had a lot of trouble with lowering my vocabulary
Mm-hmm.
um, to put it in the words, but it was his idea, and I think a lot of children will benefit from it, but it's just one. It's the first book.
Mm-hmm.
The second book I'm working on is about twin loss.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like the that special connection,
Yes.
that twins lose, but it also has to do with sibling grief.
Mm-hmm.
So we can we can segment all these different kinds of grief to
Mm-hmm.
try to understand it and figure it out. But its bottom line is our heart is broken,
Mm-hmm.
and the comforter, the Lord, our comforter, can come in and provide that comfort that we need when we need it.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times he's just waiting on the other side for me, and he's like, I'm having my little tantrum, I'm mad, mad or whatever, and he's just like, okay, are you done?
Yeah.
But
Awesome. Well, good. I really love that you have taken the time to process it with the Lord and write the books because I know I didn't write I didn't choose to write a book, or God didn't call me to write a book. So I think it's very, very needed, and I appreciate that a lot. Well, now, maybe we can take a little turn from grief. And now, after you, what is it that you now do to relax? You've written the book and you're starting another one, but what do you do for fun?
Music is a big thing that I love to listen to. Love to listen to praise. Um, I like to kayak when I can get out on the water, just like
Oh,
a
nice.
still lake. That would be one of my things to do. Obviously I'm still healing up because otherwise I'd love to dance. Ballroom dancing. And that ballroom dancing was such a huge piece of my healing because I needed new social connections
Oh.
and I needed the healing aspect of the music and I needed to learn something new.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was going to say. Music is also a way of healing as well. And then with praise and worship, you can't go wrong.
that's right. That's right.
And then the joy of ballroom dancing, that would be fun.
I think so. I think, I would encourage any person who has had a loss and they feel stuck.
Mm,
That's generally a clue that you need to do something different, something
mm-hmm,
new,
mm-hmm,
something you may never have done before,
mm-hmm,
a-
mm.
and because um, I think that'll help you get unstuck.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and plus, now, and we're not just talking about ballroom dancing, but for you, ballroom dancing got you out of the house, not sitting in your grief. The grief is still there, but you're not sitting in it. You're being active. You're focusing on other things. And that is a great way to heal as well. Um, Now, how do you balance your writing time, your fun relaxation time, and then of course I know you were sick here recently. So, how do you balance everything out in your life? Your faith and work and writing and
That's a very good question because I'm very much a type A, and so, but I've had to slow down. I've had to, try to allow the time for healing.
hmm
Um, right now, yes, as there's been a lot of fluid on my lungs, so we're trying to get that
hmm
managed. But I, I enjoy spending time with my grandchildren, so just trying to find, what is it, Lord? We should. I work
faith.
with a, yeah. I mean, we have to nurture and develop our faith and um, spending time with our loved ones, spending time doing things that we love to do.
hmm
I work with students at Liberty and we work on their dissertation and so I do a lot of kind of like editing and guiding them through the process. So that's kind of like my work aspect, but when I'm at home, I'm also caregiving for my mom.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it is a constant juggling and
hmm
struggling
hmm
through the process to do what is most important.
Yeah, I've heard the term sandwich generation, but your kids are grown, so you're no longer taking care of kids and your parents. I think that's what it's called, the sandwich dinner. I'm not sure, but yes, we're all getting to that age now. Some of us are getting to that age that we're now taking care of our parents and our own life and our parents' lives right now. So,
And we're establishing legacies with our grandchildren
mm, hmm.
as well.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. So that would fit into the sandwich. The
definitely.
sandwich. You've got your little ones and your parents, and you're trying to juggle both of those and your writing and everything. I'm kind of stepping into your shoes and thinking that way. So how what now let's go into something else. So how do you you said you're type A, so how do you organize it all? How do you um you know, right now you're in a slow down process. So, and you mentioned editing. Do you, when you are forced to slow down like that, you pretty much have that time, I guess, to work on something that you wouldn't normally be working on? Or is that, am I pulling out some correct things? Or how does your process go for you now that you're having to slow down a little bit?
Right. Basically, uh, I am having to say what is necessary, what is essential, what do I need to do,
Mm,
what can I put off a little bit?
mm-hmm.
Because I found coming out of the hospital with all the medications, it's like my brain, it just took so much longer to even process. Like if I'm trying
Mm,
to write something,
mm-hmm.
I'll have to go back and edit it several times just because that medication,
Yeah, yeah.
you
So
know.
sometimes
So
the writing has to be paused until the brain
ex-
frog, the that brain fog is lifted from the
e-
medication.
exactly. And I just attended a writing conference at Taylor University like the week before, so I was all set, ready to go. Let's go for it. Let's get this proposal done. Let's.
Oh, yes. Now, that would be a struggle, especially when you're super, super excited and then your body says, we're going to
Nope.
slow down for a little bit.
Yep. We have to listen to our body because the Lord's got too many other things for me. He wants me to do. Uh,
Exactly, exactly. Oh man. Well, tell me a little bit about the conference, and then we've got 10 more minutes, so we're going to make the rest of it kind of quick, but tell us a little bit about what excited you at the conference, and then we'll go into our ending questions.
sure. Taylor University is here in Upland, Indiana, and they have a wonderful uh, professional writing program, but they offer a conference every year, July 24th through the 26th this year. And I never attended that conference before, but because they're near my children, I thought, hey, that's a perfect way for me to do both, uh,
Perfect.
to be able to see my family and attend. And I was just so impressed with their writing program, with their they had college students that were there to help volunteer to run, manage all the aspects of the conference. We had Zena Del Roe, who is a phenomenal keynote speaker, and she
Mm-hmm.
really challenged us as Christian writers that we had to be truthful, we had to be authentic, we have to share about sorrow and suffering
Mm-hmm.
because it's the human experience, is what we
Mm-hmm.
all go through. So
Mm-hmm.
how can we navigate that?
Awesome. Awesome.
And so I made some very good connections there and, hope to be getting a book proposal to a publisher soon, as soon as my brain fog is lifted a little bit,
Yes.
and just keep moving forward because I'm not a children's author that writes the cutesy fun
Mhm.
stuff. I'd love to, but that's just not
Mhm.
my calling. My
Yes.
calling, my calling is because I have a burden for the children and I
Yes.
want to help them navigate grief so that
Hmm.
they do not become adults with unresolved grief.
Yes, I love that. And yes, there is definitely a need for that. Well, now let's shift gears just because we are at the end of our podcast. And I just want to end with two things. One, well, maybe three things. What, because all of us have those blind spots, where's one area that you struggle with organization? Because I'm an organizer, I have to ask that question. And one area that you're the most proud of. But what is that one area? For me, that one area would be my garage could be better, even though I'm a professional organizer. I still have too much stuff. But so what is that for you?
I would staying on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can get organized. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
was thrilled when uh my daughter-in-law said, "Hey, we'll get you a desk and a chair, so that when you're visiting, you can work from home." It's like
Oh.
perfect. So the perfect timing. They got me a desk and a chair. I have a little little file box, that kind of thing to keep organizing. I had a printer because I needed to, print out things for proposals
Mm-hmm.
and meetings and things like that. So they've been very supportive to help me have the tools that I need so I can work from here when I'm in Indiana and with my family
That's
and when I'm
awesome.
at home. But yes, just trying to stay on top of all the different things that we juggle and that we carry. And,
Mm-hmm.
different podcasts is new for me,
Mm-hmm.
relatively new. I mean, I've done about probably 10 now.
Yeah.
Um, but, just the organization and learning, how everybody will either use Zoom or Google Meet, or they'll have a different kind of link and how they have a protocol. So, that makes life pretty engaging and interesting right now, trying to stay on top of all of that. And
Yes.
just learning how to market the book through social
Yeah.
media and other ways. Because there's so many things that you could be learning and doing.
Yes. Well, speaking of marketing, tell the audience how they can purchase your books, how they can find you, all of the social media things, um, that so that if someone wanted one of your books, they can find you.
Sure. My website is jerrywoodbridge.com. I have a blog that's jerrylwoodbridge. Uh, com, and you can find all of my books, Joy Overcame Sorrow, the companion journal, Joy's Journal, and Trading My Sorrows. You can find them on Amazon. All three of them I know you can find on Amazon. The other books you can find on Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, Walmart, um, most online stores. The book launch was on June 10th, so it's pretty new out there,
Oh,
hot
good.
off the press.
Yeah.
And um, I'm available on social media with Facebook. I'm
Mhm.
Jerry Woodbridge. I think it's .7, and then Instagram. I have a couple book trailers that are out there on my YouTube channel that tell the story from Joy's point of view to get parents and um, children interested in the book. And then I
Mhm.
also have a book trailer that talks about the helpers because we're all helpers.
Well, good. Yeah, and we're definitely going to put, all of that also in the description as well, but I wanted, people to hear that from you. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you. Like I said a million times, and there is a great need for what you do. And I really appreciate that you are taking the time to meet that need. And I appreciate that you're taking your time to be on my podcast today. And
Well,
thank you
thank you,
so
Carrie.
much.
Thank you, Carrie, for the opportunity to share.
All right. Well, we will stop this here. Guys, thank you for listening and thank you for watching. This will be on Spotify and on YouTube, and we will see you on the next one.